one thing that's a little bit different is that this stuff has a little bit more grip to it because it's a matte film. Oh, there's a little bit of
Sorry, hold on one second.
Fuzzies in there.
One quick question.
Yeah.
If I were to have this here, is that an issue?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Yeah, you're good. But you would want it kind of distributed somewhat evenly.
Try it.
Yeah, I mean, this could actually be a little bit more even, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just, you know, there's tension on each one of these rollers. The more important thing that I've never actually taught you guys is the tension on these, on the backside. These are actually how much pressure is on these rollers. This is completely released, and then this is actually has full tension.
Oh.
Yeah, so those are actually more important than distributing them evenly. It's the pressure that's on the roller.
Are you supposed to flip that when you do this stuff?
No, just leave them all the way down, full pressure all the time. We don't modulate pressure like that in any scenarios. So.
When I just start talking like.
Yeah, I'm just going. Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about some stuff here, but nothing too crazy.
Those are always down low. Those in the back.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about those. But what I was gonna say is that this type of film, you'll actually see some black come from the rollers because it's so much more grippy. So the first thing I'm gonna do is what I told you. It's a brand new roll, so it's got kind of like an uneven end here. I just pull it out like an inch, and then I just give it a nice even cut. Boom. And then I actually just restart the machine. You can even see that. See that little bit of black? That's actually from the roller. You can notice it on this type of film though because it's got that matte finish. So this hood is actually pretty massive, so it's good to get a video on something like this, but it's a little bit different than the last hood that we did. I've actually got 78 inches of length that's gonna be used, which is pretty massive. And then you can see it's red, the whole thing is red, because it's actually, its length is 59.47. So like the length of the hood, but the width of the roll. So I print on 60-inch rolls, and unless we order, like special order a 72-inch, this hood is at like the max limit of like what you can get away with, just a 60-inch roll. Okay. So you'll see, we have to kind of like, we have to stretch it in order to fit, is what I'm saying. So we have to stretch it like 2 inches. Now over 60 inches, it's not that big of a deal, but you know, if you're stretching 2 inches on a piece that is, you know, 15 inches long total, well, you're stretching over the threshold of percentage that you can stretch a piece. So like a 60-inch piece, I have no problem stretching that 2.5 inches. So whatever that percentage of stretch is the max that you can stretch film without getting any distortion in the adhesive. If you stretch anything above that, then typically you have to really kind of monitor the whole situation and make sure that you're not going to get any visible lift lines or adhesive lines or stuff like that. So this is good. This is ready to roll out. So I'm basically just going to roll out. I got 78 right here. 78.5, so let's just call it 79. I need to burn 2 inches, so I'm gonna actually pull out 81. Yeah, so 79, 81. I actually want 2 inches to wrap an edge, so I'm actually gonna do 83. Yeah, 82.5 to 3 is what I'm gonna try to roll out here. I'm just watching my cost of goods sold increase every inch I go. I just try to monitor this kind of stuff. So we got 83, 85 right there. Okay, so we're gonna go, yeah, 80. So 83. So now we're just gonna cut this off. Super important to not have the rollers on here for as long as even gloss. You know, you have a few minutes with gloss to just kind of hang out there, but we really want to make sure we get that all off ASAP, all the pressure off of the roll. So let's try that again. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I already cleaned off the table. I set up 2 tables. This is definitely longer than 2 tables. So we're gonna have a little hanging on off of each side. So when we're peeling this back, we're actually gonna shift it over one way, then shift it over the other way, peel off the rest of it, and then we'll have it kind of just in the middle.
2 of us here, so.
Right, so now we'll just bring this over to the table. Just gonna pull this off. So I'm actually gonna, well, we can actually just do that side first. So just slide this over. We'll do that side first. Okay. Gotta be really, it's like right there on the edge of like sliding off on its own weight because the backing doesn't stick to it very good. So what we could do is just put a tiny bit of slip right there. That just kind of anchors it down. It just keeps it from sliding off a table if we go too far off one side. So, boom. All right, so I've already filled this up. This is fresh slip. I've kind of already done what I need to do. I'm just gonna come out this way, bring this hose out. And you've already alcohol prepped everything, right?
Yeah.
Sweet, we're in good shape then. Just gonna get this little knot out. Sweet. Good.
Do you want to wipe it down one more time?
We will. We'll do our normal stuff over there. Okay. Doesn't need too much. You've already rinsed it off this morning, so I'm not really too worried about too much dust. That's why I said to do that, because then we'd have to prep it a little bit more.
Or I said, 6 centimeters. So that's what you're at.
Oh yeah, true. So just gonna come through just like normal, and this is kind of where you're gonna start getting involved here in just a second. So we're gonna clean off your hands in just a second. Oh, I'm actually gonna come across this way fully. Okay, just pull that together. There you go. Okay, a little bit more. And we're definitely going to overlap this center line by about as much as we can, honestly. We'll do one more pull after this one. Just make sure the film doesn't touch itself. You see how it's kind of bunching up right there? Yeah, you make sure it doesn't ever touch itself. Then it's a big problem. A little bit more, there we go. All right, so now let's just kind of, don't pull too hard on your side, just kind of keep it real nice. There we go. Now, let's bring this out this way a little bit, there. Now, because this is facing down, it is gonna dry out a little bit faster. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head. If you were kind of doing this solo dolo or, you know, weren't able to be too quick with it, this side is gonna be a little drier. So, here, watch your feet here. I'll come across that end. It is, yeah, I mean, it's actually, doesn't have too much to do with your nails. Nails definitely help, but you just gotta hit the film the right way. You kind of bend it onto itself a little bit and kind of get it started. All right, so yeah, we don't have too far to go right now. Let's go. Just get it a little bit. Boom. One more. There we go. Okay. Don't pull too much. Yeah, you see how you got your side way over now. Slide your overs just a little bit. Just slide it that way. Yep.
Yeah, I'm on the edge now.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So now we're gonna get these evened up. We just don't want to pull too much because then you start messing up kind of everything. You just kind of go corner to corner.
I see.
You know, that's fine. You're not doing anything that's we can't reverse. pull that out. Okay. Just make sure this is all nice. Just hold it. There you go. No, you're good. All right. Let's just let that chill for a second. I'm gonna go over all this. I'm gonna close that door. Ooh, hood is a little warm. So we moved it. We only moved it just a little bit, but you see, you feel it. Run your hand over it. It's warm. You feel it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll make the film dry out a little bit quicker. But right now we're just getting the big lint off of here. I'll just end up doing this just because you have a cotton shirt on. So when you kind of get close to the car, sometimes that cotton will come up on here. I've got a lint-free shirt on, so I can get a little bit closer. I still try to, oh, that's the end of that. You want to put that back on that? Goes on that corner so it doesn't scratch up any wheels or anything. Just making sure I free up any lint from here or any little pieces of dirt. I'm also kind of feeling for dust nibs. Now I am going to be stretching onto this panel over here just a little tiny bit, but I do want to make sure this kind of general area is pretty clean. Same thing with like the top of the fender. Just don't want any of that stuff coming back into the film. Okay. So now I'll grab the big squeegee, which is over there. Squeegee this off. This is the first one. So we'll do one. Again, working from the inside out because whenever I touch the car, I want to make sure I go and squeegee over that area. Wiping the end of the squeegee off every time, making sure I'm not feeling anything too crazy. You know, if you come into an area and you feel a ton of dirt on that squeegee, you want to make sure you go back over it and that you still have nothing left. So again, inside out. Boom. Okay. So for this hood, I usually don't have to worry about getting a blade out until I'm like dang near done with the film, about to like trim up the edges. This one, you might actually have to have a relief cut around that A-pillar area because it kind of swoops down underneath that. And when I put side-to-side tension over the top half of the film, sometimes it can just kind of cause some issues. So I'm gonna squeegee this off one more time. Really make sure there's no lint. Not only do we do this for black cars, but every car, just because white has its own things. What do you think the easiest color to put PPF on is?
Should I just take a shot quick here?
Yeah?
Blue or red?
Blue or red?
Yes, and green.
Blue's pretty decent depending on the blue. If it's a metallic blue, it's definitely a little easier.
Christ.
Gray is okay, sometimes depending on the gray. You know, again, metallic flake and things like that. The easiest to put on is silver, because you don't have to worry about the adhesive disturbances so much. Because what you're fighting, the term for it, a lot of the time, is what we call silvering.
It's probably the third most popular color.
Yeah, it's one of them. The hardest color to do is black, of course. White is hard because of lint and contamination, but also it's really hard because you can trap a lot of moisture behind the film and not really see it until it's pretty late in the process. So now I'm really soaking this down, making sure I've got a lot of soap on here, soapy water. And then you see this transition is actually a lot less than that Jeep, so I'm not worried about it as much. We did polish this car, so it is something that I still do want to put a little tiny bit of gel kind of across some of these bigger parts where I'm going to have more pool.
Just for video purposes, what exactly does the gel do?
Just, no, it prevents it from sticking. This specific type of gel, sometimes, yeah, it helps it float. Sometimes you have some gels that are, once you squeegee them, they're really aggressive, like Expels gel. This gel, not so much. So I'm gonna make sure I have this. I'm also gonna make sure I have a fresh blade because I'm about to put this on. I'm definitely gonna have to do a relief cut, more so than not. Not definite yet. Take a little chug of water. I've got some slip. I'm gonna need this to stick a little bit harder. So I'm actually gonna grab just a little bit of this warm water. It's not fully heated up yet, but it'll do. Boom, all right. Let's grab this thing. Get your hands out of your pockets. Rinse them off here real quick. Try not to touch your hands after you rinse it off, or touch your body or anything that has lint. So yeah, keep them wet, really nice. All right. So go ahead and grab the other side. Okay, fold it up like a taco. Okay, now come on over, watch your step, don't touch anything. Keep it up. Okay, don't touch the car with your shirt, okay? Okay. Did you touch it with your shirt?
No.
Okay.
Not even close.
Come down. Now cover up that corner over there. That's all you need to cover. You cover it?
Yep.
Only by like a 1/4 inch. Don't go out too high. Okay? Now shut that down. Now you see this edge right here? It's not covering over there. That's perfect. Yeah, okay. That's perfect. Yep, don't worry about that. But you see this edge right here? It's not covering. That's what I was saying. We're gonna have to stretch it a couple of inches. So in order to do that, I'm gonna do a few things. I'm gonna get this back kind of figured out here real quick. So I'll come over to this side. Put some fresh slip on the adhesive. And I'm actually, first things, just gonna tack a little bit off the panel. So right here, just like that. Now, this is where you need to make your relief cut, but I wanna make sure that I have enough on that side before I do that. That's where you can make a mistake. You can screw yourself, you see? Now I don't even have enough over here without a stretch. So I just wanna make sure I get enough stretch. This should be good, about right there. So I'm gonna spray some fresh slip before I forget. Across here, see? Running off all the slip right there. Some decent side-to-side stretch. I don't want to go up too high because I need to spare as much as possible. But what I don't want is when I go to stretch the front of this, it is going to kind of move forward just a little bit. So now I'm just going to be looking, making sure I got enough. You see how big that has gotten now? That gap? A little big, not a problem. So now we're going to position this to where we can actually get our cut. So I'm looking at everything, making sure it's still good, relieving some of the pressure off of this side. Okay. I feel pretty confident that I can actually get my cut in here now. And it's solid. This can go up. Yep, okay. So basically, you always want to cut not in straight angles. You always want to kind of swoop into things, okay? So I'm going to cut a little bit of a relief cut right there. And I'm actually going to come slowly in to this side here, and I don't want to get too close, just in case I gotta stretch this a little bit more. But get this swooped up. And what that'll allow now is I can actually get this about where it needs to go. When I stretch it forward, it's gonna want to just sit in just like that. You see how it's covering that corner, and this tension isn't too much. It can kind of just sit in there. So, you know, technically I could just tack it right there, but I'm gonna work on the other side now. Sorry to the video viewers that might not be able to understand me when I got a squeegee in my mouth. Okay, this is good, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna kind of pre-stretch this a little bit forward, make sure we're good. This is good. And I'm just gonna do mine pre-cut. Here, boom, come across here. Okay, not too much. I don't want to be pulling. You can tell it's pulling here, so I bring that forward. Okay, so that's solid. That is good. Boom, look at that. See, that's gonna be really nice when that actually gets tacked. So I'm gonna spray some slip just across here. Fresh slip underneath all this. And I'm actually gonna tack this down right here. So I'm flipping this over onto itself so I can spray just the adhesive and I don't get too much tack on the actual body. And I just wanna put this into position to where it'll stick down, which is right there. Boom. That looks nice. Squeegee that. Squeegee all this down. It's gonna be a nice anchor point. Boom. All right, I'm gonna do the same for the other side now. Free it all up. Okay, get this kind of pre-stretched where it needs to be, right there. Ooh, this one's a little closer, which I can actually lift this up and bring it over just a bit more. I'm looking at the fingers too, making sure I don't have too many, but okay, I can actually bring this up. Just so I can get a better bite across this kind of top area. If you don't have a lot of adhesives tacked to the panel up here, when you go to actually do your stretch, sometimes it can pop itself off of there. And then it just kind of is a pain to get it back where it needs to be. That's good. See that? Real nice across there. Almost no tension across everything. Wants to lay down really nice. Looks great. Spray just a little bit more tack right there. Boom. So now the back is good. It's good for me. Now I'm going to worry about kind of my 4-corner tack, which is these 2 corners down here now. Make sure I have fresh slip across everything. Boom. Same thing across here. Boom. Okay. So first thing first, make sure it's all free. No pre-tack. Spray off some of this slip. Spray it off the bumper. Okay, get my first stretch. A little bit side to side, definitely down. This is good. I might have to lift this back up, so I'm not really too crazy about it right now. Same thing with right here. Make sure it's not stuck across anything back there, and it's not. Looks really good. Boom, see, now I'm past that edge, at least to the point where I can wrap it. Now I'm looking for fingers. This is all good, this is all good, that's all good. These fingers right here, these side to side ones, they don't look crazy, but they kind of are. Those go out really nice. I'm gonna go over here, check the same. Oh dude, this thing's ready, let's go. Spray a little bit of that.
Light.
Yep. Boom. This is all still free. I'm really gonna make sure this edge, this back edge, where there is a little bit of tension, is free. The last thing I want to do is bring some moisture back through that and it be kind of freed up. So because it has so much stretch, I'm actually going to spray tack right in here. Rarely ever do this, but it's a lot of tension across this back piece. So I'm just going to make sure it stays down. Make sure it gets a nice bite, a nice seal. Boom. That's good. Bring the tension away from there, tack away from there. What is that? Part of Brandon's shirt. Look at that. Let's get that out of there.
Well, tattoo shirts that hurt.
It's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time. Giving you a hard time. But lint is definitely our enemy.
Gotta take the shirt off.
I don't know if we want that. HR is in the building. Oof. A little bit of lint just chilling right there. Spray a little bit of tack. Or sorry, slip. I'm just gonna take the end of my squeegee, try to grab it without disturbing the adhesive. Good, got it out. Boom. All right, now let's be quick. That's solid. Just gonna make sure none of this is sticking. Ooh, you see it sticking. So, because we got such a big stretch, it's sticking. This is all good. I just put fresh slip right there from my squeegee, so I don't have to worry about it too much. I might be able to just free this up without doing too crazy of a stunt. Oh yeah, that's nice. And then come up across here. I know I got slip kind of running down, so I'm just gonna pop this up. Boom. Same thing with across here. Boom. And boom. Okay, got a little bit stuck right there. Boom, now it's all floating again. This is my prime time to get through all of this. Okay, get that out of there. All right, what? This body line before it dries.
You're just kind of coming up on the lid there where it curves up.
Yeah, I came up across here, right, to lock all that down, went across it, brought everything away from it. And then this same body line, that's gonna dry out super quick, as you saw. So I went across that really quick. I still got a little bit of an exit right here. So now I'm just gonna bring everything out of this exit. I'm really gonna go over this a couple times too, because again, white is kind of deceiving. I know where the moisture might sit. It's gonna be somewhere kind of like in here. It's gonna come from that, and then it'll also sit kind of on some of these pieces here. So I'm just going over it a couple of times, seeing if I feel anything or hear anything. I don't hear anything or feel anything. So this is good. This I can bring out the side. That's easy to access. This is not, so I'm gonna get this next. A little bit of tension point there. Get that freed up. All right. Solid. Okay. Boom. Okay. Free up a little bit of that tension there. This is good. Okay, that's solid. Just kind of tighten up some of these edges here. You know, I don't have to sit here and do all this right now. I can jump over to the other side, but I'm just making sure everything looks good here. Good. All right, now we'll do the other side here and spray some slip in the middle of all this. once that slip kind of come down. I'm just gonna check on all this right now. I'm gonna see. It should all be floating up pretty well. Yeah, that's nice. But again, running across these parts right here are gonna have really high tension and they're gonna be stuck. So I'm just gonna put fresh slip in here. Make sure all the way up to the edge is lifted up and really nice. It's looking really good. It's kind of easy to come up to because I had that gel in here. Because I'm about to lift right here, I want slip to be like right up to it. That way when I actually pop it, it gets rehydrated with some good slip. Boom. All right. This is tacked up just a little bit right there. That's good. It's all floating. Just gonna make sure up here it's all floating. Feeling good. Give myself a nice fresh tack line here. Now, when it comes to these fingers, I actually want to stretch this forward just a bit to get rid of those. So I'm not going to go too low. I'm just going to kind of get, ooh, this film's a little bit grippier with the mat. Oh, that's a metallic. Okay. There's a little like black spot on the paint, similar to what you saw on the back part of this car.
Yeah, I noticed that. I tried a bar.
That's fine. Yeah, I just noticed it right now. I made sure it was slipping and it wasn't stuck to the actual film. And it wasn't, so good stuff. Okay. You wanna give me a step stool, please? Just kind of bring that over. Thank you so much. Bring this. Kind of got to reach a little bit. Okay. If you're gonna put your hand on the windshield to kind of lean on the car, try to do it on the A-pillar. If you have to do it on the glass, really get a wide kind of. It's okay. Okay. Come over to the other side real quick. Get the last little bit of this. Just don't want to have to worry about it too much, because I know I can just pop up the rest of that on the other side really easily. This is going to be kind of hard to get stuff out of if I let it dry out too much. And then I'm just going to recheck. So when I check pieces like this, I just bring it up to a point and I see if there's any kind of moisture line. And if there is, I bring it out quickly. That's good. So again, I don't want to go too low, so I'm just going to kind of come from where I know is good. On.
Still very slowly, very goodly on it.
Oh yeah, dude, that Jeep was a freaking nightmare. Like I told you guys, I was like, that one was a freaking battle. Yeah, this one isn't too bad. This is actually got kind of a hard hood, but it's not at the same time. You just have to know what to do. Like if you didn't know to cut that out, you would have had a really hard time on that. Oop, a little bit of a dry spot. Came into that. Make sure there isn't any adhesive markings. Looks good. Okay, now I can kind of rehydrate all this, make sure it's good. Good. Bring some fresh slip into there. Good. Bring that down. Come across the front here. Boom. Back across here. Meet those 2 points. Now it's all floating. I am going to stretch this now because this line right here might come into that, and it's going to. This thing's going to be looking to suck up air wherever it can come from. So I'm just going to pop this all up. Give it just a little pre-stretch. Right here. I can always lift this back up, but I'm just gonna stretch it over just a little tiny bit. Boom, squeegee that. Now, get this air gap out of here. If you're finding that it keeps popping back up, give it somewhere to come out of. You know, come back, open up that edge, and you'll be good. Which is good. So now I can come down across some of this stuff here. Really make sure this stuff is still floating, which it is. Across that body line. Now I kind of separated my working areas a bit. I can come across this whole thing on its own.
I'm not really digging too deep into that body line.
No. This is the Instagram shot. The one little smooth squeegee stroke. This ain't no Tesla hood. Tesla hoods are the easiest thing.
Or yeah, at some point.
Tesla hoods, Porsche hoods.
Yeah, I did.
Now I am coming into this part a little bit. You can see I actually drew up some stuff. Now I'm gonna come sideways over it. You kind of hit these valleys every which way just because they're kind of notorious for having moisture that's trapped in there. So I'm just gonna lift this all back up, make sure it's still moving good. All the way back to this corner, get my tack in here. Come out to the edge. Oh, that's so good. Oh my goodness. One time I had a Audi RS5, the new kind of like body style. Well, I guess they're replacing it now, but kind of the latest body style as of 2025. I had one of those in here and same style, kind of like comes all the way to the end of the panel here. There's only 3 or 4 hoods that I've had to fully replace in my career, and that was one of them. And the reason why is because I didn't put tack across here, across this back edge right here.
Like across the fender?
Because I didn't, actually on the hood, because I did it on the fender, but I didn't do it on the hood. Reason being, oh, got some of Brandon's shirt in here. No, actually that's on the paint. Just messing with you.
Sorry about.
I gotta give you a hard time, bro. You're either in the you're either in the back seat or you got lint.
I was in the 3rd row earlier.
You were? Oh my goodness, 3rd row. Dang, that's his new one. 3rd row, Brandon.
Chat now. We can restart.
Yeah. Okay, get the air out of here. That air is sneaky. That air will kind of lift up things that you really don't want to lift up. So I'm just kind of looking at everything now. I know I've already got that tacked, so I'm going to come from a different angle. Oh, right back down. It's good. Okay, come down across here, down across there. So now, like this edge is definitely tacked. So I'm just gonna make sure I pop that up just a little bit so I can get into this area. And if I get it quick enough, it's
What
good.
would happen if this broke free? Would that be a horrific moment?
It wouldn't be the end of the world. It would suck, like a lot, just because it would wanna, I'd have to like, it would put its stretch into the next tacked piece, which it would be, in this case, since I already tacked this. So it really wouldn't be the end of the world. That is a piece of lint I definitely have to get out of there. Yeah, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Oh, look at that, came right out. Just with slip. Very nice. Okay, come across this whole area again. Got a little bit of air trapped in here, so I'm just gonna get that out real quick. Just pre-tacked a little bit. we go. This is good. This is really good. I'm just gonna, before I address this kind of front part, that's super easy to access. I don't have much tension, so I know I can be good by just leaving it for a little bit. I'm actually gonna grab a towel because I'm getting to that point where if I do need to lift anything up, it's gonna start being really hard because it is tacked now. So I'm just gonna make sure everything is looking sweet. No big moisture pockets and things. I wouldn't say I have a ton of pressure on this towel, but I have enough to where like, if I all of a sudden wasn't feeling something smooth, I'd be like, oh, okay, like I have some moisture right there. I can feel it, you know what I mean? So this is just kind of like my blind QC mid-install.
The noise of that.
Of this? Yeah, you don't like that?
That's like why I don't get into like all body or anything, because there's no way I could be sanding all day long listening to that noise.
This is not bad because it's not a rough sound. It's kind of like a smooth. You don't dude. You know what?
I'll deal with it.
You know what though, dude? Okay, so no matte wraps for you, because it's only matte that does that noise.
Okay.
Dude, I can't stand when somebody writes with a Sharpie on paper.
Oh, yeah.
I can't, dude. Or like a dry erase marker, like the thick. Goosebumps. Get that on video. You see those goosebumps? That's so funny. Dude, I can't stand it. And like writing on cardboard, dude, whenever I move.
Pen or Sharpie?
No, pen is fine. Sharpie or dry erase marker,
I get it.
Man.
no shot.
So breach this all day.
A little bit of moisture right there. I'm just gonna get that out the side because it's fresh. It's kind of where I last worked. Dang.
That was so slick.
Looks good, huh?
Now I don't feel as defeated as what I felt watching you do the Jeep.
Or like,
All right.
like
You right. That Jeep probably worried you quite a bit. You're like, dude, what did I sign myself up for? Is it gonna be like this on every hood?
And you're like, yes.
No, I didn't. I said no. It's a fight, but not every hood is like that. So now, because I just had this stretched down just a little bit, I can actually release this, get back into it, get some fresh flip up in these points. This is nice.
This whole job's gonna go so smoothly.
Yeah, it's not a super hard job. It's a little tricky when you're doing gloss to matte. You just want to get that right amount of coverage to where the hardest part is that the film doesn't stick to every edge. There's just some things like the film edge is just going to be too small and it just won't stick. And we try to not use any adhesive promoter on matte jobs. Sometimes you just have to get the coverage that the customer kind of expects.
Is that kind of like what was out of that?
Yeah, which on that 911, which that only had a gloss. Like you really should never use adhesive promoter on a gloss job.
Nice thing it smells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these little black spots are just crazy.
Yeah, I only saw like 3 of them like that, but I tried soap water, clay bar, nothing.
That one was just like a little piece of dirt. But yeah, no, there are some that are on this car that you just.
I wanted to show you once you're done with it. Nothing that will affect you, but I thought it was wild.
Okay. Sounds good. This looks good. Yeah. Round of applause. That was easy. That was easy. Now we just let it dry and.
How long do you have to let it dry before you cutting it around and
For this one, because it had this right here, I'm gonna tighten up this edge pretty immediately, just a little bit. But because it had that, I actually want this to dry out a little bit longer. I can release the front and cut it, but This back right here, I probably don't even want to do that because as soon as I release this, this hood is going to move up a little bit more and kind of affect how this is all going to dry out. This one I would let sit for like probably an hour. Yeah. So just to let it dry out real nice and really hold that tension. Looking kind of in the problem areas. I mean, dude, you can look at this car 10 times and then you look at it again and you're like, where the heck did that come from?
Right.
That's just how PPF is. So you've got to squeegee twice as much as you think, 3 times as much as you think, inspect 2 or 3 times more than you think.
And like this, does this need to be laid down?
That I can just, that's got straight slip in there. That's why it's kind of pulling up. Because I think I did tack down this a little bit. So I can put some little bit of tack right there if I really wanted to, but I got time with that one. That one's not with the stretch. So like this one, so like where you want to really pay attention to where you lift stuff or what you can leave and what you can't leave is when you go against the stretch. So say I stretch this really hard side to side. Say I went in the middle of the film and I went straight through it, then I'd have a line on this side and a line on this side of where I went through because this adhesive is tacked, this adhesive is tacked, and now I've just stretched across it, you know, to try to get it up, and I'll have that line. But if I need to get back in here, I can open it up really wide this way, and then I go against that stretch, and it's not gonna be stretching the adhesive all weird. This has been drying for a little over an hour now, which is great. Never open the door.
Makes sense.
When, yeah, the film is attached to it right here. I've done it before. It's like the end of the world because literally you have to rip it all off and retrue it again because it literally rips the film into the piece here. Just fair warning, guys. If you guys have made it this far in the video, don't open the door. Cool, so I'm just gonna trim this up. So I'm gonna feel behind here. I'm gonna see, okay, I've got a decent amount of edge. So I can just kind of do this like a 3/8 of an inch, nice cut across the whole thing. You know, I like to feel a little bit closer kind of towards there. I actually looked at all this stuff, so I know it's gonna be good, but it's always good to have it to get into. Is like, figure out like, do I have to go big or do I have to go small? Reach over as far as you can when you're on this side because I'm right-handed. So when I get to that side, I struggle a little bit more with trying to keep the blade kind of stable here. So I try to get, it's tacked to some of this stuff, so I don't have to really worry about it too much. But I reach over kind of as far as I can and just drag the blade all the way over. And you can see it's not even cutting through. I just have that constant tension through here. And if you cut through on this time, it's not that big of a deal. And as there's more tension, the less pressure that I have.
So you don't want to cut through right here?
You can if you want. I have more control of the blade when I don't cut through.
Okay.
Just because I can draw on it rather than like, you'll know when you start cutting stuff, the more that you can practice cutting halfway through the film, the better. Yeah, so even on stuff like this, I'll just cut halfway through. Now when I'm coming up to this, I'm actually gonna come from this way over. So I'm gonna relieve some tension here so I can see the end here and try to get a good idea. Where I'm at, which is about right there. Try to cut there. Come to that other point. All right. So
Oh, nice.
That's right.
yeah, you see I only cut halfway through. Then you just tear away the rest of it. It is kind of an art. You know, you'll get used to it. This is the hard part, trying to get this restarted. So I wanted to come into it a different way because there is kind of a lot of tension right in here. So what I'll do is I'll come up into it this way. And try to start. See where I cut all the way through right here? That's a good place to come back into it because I can go both ways. It is hard to kind of come into it if you're not angling it the right way. There we go. All right, a little jagged, not the end of the world, it's behind the panel. Just looking at everything, looks good. Tear it away here. Now, when it's sticking to something like this, it is a little bit kind of trickier to pull it away and get the tension where you want it, because you always want it to be pulling away. But if it's stuck to something, you can't really guarantee that it's gonna pull the way that you want it to, so I always try to free up whatever's around it. So that's good right there. And so now, just for sake of what I normally do, I do the whole thing across the back. When I start one side, I finish the other side, just across the back. And then I go around the car like normal, because I just want to make sure that I get this all off of here, kind of this way. And you could see it's a little bit different when you come in away here. When I come to this side, I can cut all the way through. I can do the same as I did before, just cut halfway through. It doesn't really matter, just like I did with the other side. Lift this all up. Ooh, there's a little bit more tension on this side than there is on the other side. So I'll come up. Don't want to get too close. That's good. Oh, sorry about that. So now I'll just come up on this side. I'm gonna break off a new blade. This is just how I do it every time. You'll find your own working way, but I try to do it the same way every time. Just kind of have that repetitive mindset when it comes to some of this stuff, because there's so much that doesn't go the same every single time that it feels kind of good to do sometimes the same way for multiple cars. So because right now I'm actually going to be cutting on the paint, because this wrapped edge is a little bit kind of far. Now if you were starting off, I would actually pop all this up and then try to like cut it in the air. 7 years later, you really don't have to do that, because you know you're cutting halfway through the film because you've practiced so many times cutting halfway through the film, you know what I mean? So 500. So I've actually got a fresh blade here. That's really important, because every inch that this blade goes on the paint, it's wearing out. Or every inch it's going on other things, wearing out. So I can do the whole back of it without clipping it off. But once I get to a point where it's really important for me to ensure that this is a nice sharp blade, because I'm going to be using that exact pressure that I know and repeated hundreds and hundreds, thousands of times. Yeah, so I got a fresh blade here. And so I'm going to come across here. I'm actually kind of looking at this because I don't want to release tension when it's in the piece here, because then it'll have a line that's stretched and a line that's not. This car, it's not that big of a deal, but some cars it is, so I'm just kind of looking at it. But I'm going to give myself a nice line. Wrapped edge right there. I'm kind of come into there so I can.
Is there a reason why you kind of went off towards the gap in the middle there?
Yeah, because then I was poking the blade through.
Okay.
Right, so in order to ensure, because I am gonna have to kind of pull it up this way, I wanna make sure that I have a good start cut. And that's why I went all the way down there to start it. And then now I can lift up kind of the tension away from here. And it's kind of the same thing when I was talking earlier with things touching other things. I wanna make sure that I have a very small strip of adhesive to pull through. It kind of keeps more control over that cut. I mean, because at this point, it's like a piece of tape, right? If I got a big old piece of tape and I'm trying to like pull that whole piece of tape up, I have to have a lot of pressure, and that's not much control. So now if I have a very small piece of tape, you can lift up a small piece of tape real easily, right? It's not fighting against what I've just cut. So now I just have like that little bit to go through, and I can lift it up really easily. and have more control over it all throughout the process. So that's good. So now at this point, because of how this is, I'm actually gonna grab some tack. And since that always really has a, you know, crawl back is something that I'm always worried about. I'm gonna take my ring off for this, but pullback is something that I'm worried about with this job because of how the hood is. I'm gonna sneak underneath this, lift it all up, spray some tack across all this. I forgot to grab a squeegee. Grab a squeegee. I should probably bring my cart over here. I just don't want too much in the way. Bring that tension straight to that edge. The more that I can have a tack point at this stage, the better. So I try to get it down a decent amount. That's pretty good. I feel a lot better with it being on the other side of that edge rather than the exposed edge being basically on top of the panel. Because if it crawls back even just a little bit, it's pretty much ruined if it's on this side. But if it's on that side, crawls back a little bit, not that big of a deal. So that's good. I want to have that in my mouth, so I'm just going to do that. And it's the same thing. I'm just going to kind of glide over all this stuff pretty much all the way around to the other side. A lot of this is in the air, so I don't have to worry too much, but we give it a nice wrapped edge. Now these rolled edges, these type of rolled edges are very deceiving. They're actually very big when you get to the other side. So it might look like I have a big wrapped edge here. Once it gets to the other side of this panel, it actually isn't that big because the radius is so big. And what I'm doing is when a finger starts to develop where I don't want it to be, which is in my cut, I just kind of pull it away or stop and go very slow over it.
The breaks are.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a finger. That's not that big. When they pinch together very tight, that's what I'm talking about there. So now I'm getting to a point where this is still tacked, so it's really not that big of a deal. So you see that? It kind of comes into a point right there. That, I just want to make sure I really get through all that, which I just did. Now I'm getting to the point where this is not going to be tacked to anything, so it's going to want to push in. And so what I want to do is I want to grab the film and just kind of hold it out. Guide it through. This is just me wanting to do one cut. You could always just come back into it. Or like say I was to start tearing from the other side. Once I got to this point, I can just like kind of pull the film and do it. But for the sake of me limiting how many times my body is moving around this car, at this point, I just want to do one nice cut. This blade is a little worn, but again, I have kind of just air behind most of these spots. And so I have now started to bump up my pressure just ever so slight. You could see I'm not even cutting through it at all, but I know that this blade, after I go through, you know, at this point I've got 5 feet, you know, 15 feet of that I've cut. Just give myself a nice start. Now I can start kind of just pulling away some of this stuff. I am gonna, again, I have a big piece of tape right here. I wanna get my piece of tape a little thinner So I'm gonna lift up across some of this stuff. And there's just slip under here. I haven't really tacked anything, so it shouldn't be stuck super hard unless I had to like move tension side to side. And then it tacks a little bit harder because I've made it tack a little bit harder. When you get to over the headlight, you know, you see some people tape them off. I haven't put anything underneath here except for slip. I know I'm not gonna delaminate the freaking headlight. If you're worried about that, you probably need to find a different career. You just have to be a little bit more careful. 3M taught a class that I took back in 2019, and they talked about scooping the film. They've done lots of studies on like how paint is pooled and all that kind of stuff. And so I've always kind of kept that in the back of my head, that I need to kind of come underneath the film as much as possible and pop it as I'm kind of putting a little bit of stretch on it, pop it. That has always kind of stuck in my head, and I've never pulled paint, knock on, or praise God, I've never pulled paint. So now I can just kind of come across this with my small piece of tape, just a little bit of adhesive left behind. Now you see this right here? You see how that moisture is kind of coming up into there? That's something that we got to keep an eye on. If we just let this chill and we didn't roll that edge same way as we did the other side, this kind of stuff, like say we were to leave overnight, big no-no. If you get it past that second edge and you were to leave it overnight, not that big of a deal. But when it's on the first edge like that, it has a very high likelihood of crawling back into the film. So now that I popped up that, popped up this, I can kind of just keep my film on this side, tearing it into itself here, and just go slowly. Because if I didn't cut all the way through and I tear it, it's just gonna tear right down. It's not gonna tear back up into my piece. So I've got the film kind of that way. Okay, now as I come up to this spot that I have a lot of stuff tacked down, same thing. This really isn't stuck very hard. You've seen, you probably haven't seen it yet, but you know when film is stuck like that, that still has slip in there. It's still got probably a little bit of residual gel in there. It's really not stuck to that headlight very hard at all. I'll come across this, same kind of angle. Now I'm coming up to a spot. You see it, I had to pull a little bit harder because I was starting to come into some tack part, and it went just past my cut. So I can come back into it a different way, which if I was just doing this full speed, that is what I would do. I just come from this way and just come into that. But I'm gonna lift up my big piece of tape, make it a small piece of tape. Try to find a good line that I had. It's harder to see on matte. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna try to come into this. There. There we go. Perfect. Same thing. I'm gonna roll it through. I am keeping an eye on it because I'm like, you know, sometimes you can start to tear the film and you don't really know that is where you started, and then like it'll start doing some weird stuff, and it might take like 4 inches for you to realize like, oh, I'm actually just tearing the film. I'm not tearing where I cut, so I was really looking at it really close. This is good. And again, I'm just making sure it's not bouncing up too much because I know where my cut line was. That's good. Whole front of it's good. Same thing's kind of happening right there, that high tension area. So, you know, like right off the bat, if you wanted to just kind of solve that a little bit, you could just get some tack. It's right in there. Go straight down on them. pull the tension a little bit side to side. And now I don't have to worry about that stuff kind of popping up where that high tension part is. You can see where the slip is still at. It's really not sticking. See, so you have to run away. We use 7th gen, as you know, and it runs off the surface really nice. The thing with Johnson & Johnson shampoo is that it leaves, it's really hard, a lot harder to get off the surface. So you have to sit there and spray it down and soak it down for a minute. Whereas this is just distilled water and it really dilutes it off of the surface really quickly. Makes it stick a lot easier, which is important for matte and normal gloss. So now we're gonna snap off a fresh blade and get taken care of this last little bit here. When you have blades, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what wears out this blade is not only just cutting on the paint, but also it going in and out, right? It's rubbing metal on metal across pretty much all these blades. Now, during shipping, lots of different things kind of happen, and then you get it finally in here. To be on the safe side, we always snap off the first blade, the first one, so we know it's sharp, and then we never go past down into the third. When I'm really trying to be super precise, I really don't want to use the third blade. So right now, I would just grab a new blade and snap off the first one. The only time that I would ever use like a third is if I was cutting in like the air. Like if I didn't have paint underneath that I was worried about and I can actually like penetrate through and I don't have to have as much of that control, that's when I would use the third blade. But you're always pretty much just gonna snap, like this right now, I'm just gonna put a new blade in there. So these are super easy too. I love these red dots. So we just pretty much snap, pull that out, grab a new box. I mean, we have them kind of laying around all over the place.
How many do they come in there?
I think there are 10. These are
I
the,
meant on the actual stick itself.
oh, so there's probably 6, I think.
Okay.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 6. So you really only have, if you think about it, you snap off 1, use 2, leave 3. You have 2 good cutting blades for PPF in this right here. So kind of crazy to think about. But we buy these blades like 10 boxes at a time. So it's part of our cost of goods sold. It's factored into the bill of the job. Like we charge, and we want to make sure that we were able to use nice blades because we don't cut paint. We don't want to cut paint. We would rather snap off a fresh blade than have to think about it. Cool. So it is important to kind of keep these away from water as well. They're pretty sealed up for the most part in there, but you want this thing like kind of sitting in a pool of water. They'll get rusty. They have kind of like a little bit of a coating on there too. Sometimes that'll coating. You have to be mindful of. It's a few different things, but anyways, we got a fresh blade. We're gonna cut on the paint, so just take it easy. Okay, then I'm gonna come up to a point where I can actually cut through. About right there. Boom. Now I can get a good start pull on there. I didn't have to lift it, so it's not perfect. There we go. Cool, it started, so I'm gonna actually kind of come up, make my big piece of tape into a small piece of tape. That's good. So same thing. I'm gonna grab my squeegee from right here. Lift up the side. solid. And so one thing I want to be mindful of when I actually lift this hood is to make sure that that's not sticking to the door. So it's just, I mean, if we get it done quick enough, you just look, spray a little bit more tack in there, but don't stick it down, and then you're able to kind of pop the hood up. Yeah, so that's it for that. And then we'll actually go through and we'll start wrapping some of these edges here. So you can keep recording if you want. I'm gonna grab some fresh tack, nice warm tack. I've already got this halfway filled with warm tack, so I'm gonna put some hot in here. I do have to be mindful of the time because I do have to be at an appointment at 2:30 to tint someone's house.
Yeah, it's 2.
2. Okay, I gotta leave here in about 10 minutes. So I've got some time. Got one latch that's stuck. So before I open this door, or as I'm opening this door, I'm looking here, seeing what it wants to do, because sometimes these doors come in all freaking weird. So it is kind of coming into it, but it comes away. Okay. It just depends on the hinge and kind of how things are set up. You never really know, so always look at it. Like that might have stuck. Let's hit this one more time. That's good. Sometimes these have like the double pop latches, like BMWs and things like that. This one doesn't seem to have it, but since I can just look at this, go. What you don't want is for something to be stuck and then it even just stretches the adhesive or stretches the TPU, which is what this stuff's made out of, thermoplastic urethane. Yeah, we're free, so we're good. Free on both ends. Now, when I come to actually popping this hood, got a latch.
Yeah, it does have latch.
It's in the middle, okay. Yeah, it feels like it's right there. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. So I am gonna be looking at the doors too. I'm just making sure the hood is coming away from the doors. Sometimes they get a little closer to the doors, right? So with every hinge point and you've got film installed somewhere, you really wanna just make sure it's doing what you want it to be doing. And then as I come up closer, you see how it's gonna come past that kind of sealed ridge right here? This rubber. Yeah. I'm making sure that it's not gonna get stuck to the plastic that's around it. That kind of tip. Sorry.
This was kind of touching the A-filler a little bit, but
yeah, but it didn't do anything too crazy. So at every step, man, you just need to be kind of watching things because, man, you don't want to be redoing this hood. So I'm gonna try to change the pressure of this, and I just like I did in other videos, start from the middle. I just do it the same way every time. There's no science behind it, but gravity, you know, you're trying to get the soap running down. As you get closer towards this end, since the door is open, I am being a little bit more mindful about my spray pattern. I don't want to get soap or just even water all over the leather. You can get inside the door panel, you can get on the side of the dash, you can get all over the place. So just running all this stuff off real nice and thorough. Start from the middle again. Cool. Be mindful here. The water was gonna go everywhere. So since this is kind of like the last spot, there is typically a lot of soap that kind of settles in here. It's not just from the edge. I mean, you're spraying kind of all the stuff inside of here too. So I mean, sometimes just soap that's up in here gets running down. And so you kind of do soak the back a little bit more than you would think. So now what I'm gonna do, because I am gonna go crazy on that back edge, is I'm actually gonna close this, both of the doors. The last thing I want is some water getting in between some kind of seam in the leather and causing problems. You know, GMs are like notorious for that, and a lot of cars nowadays, BMWs. So you just gotta keep water from the inside of the car as much as possible. Now this yellow one from DSI is actually really good because you can actually do it upside down. You can spray upside down. So that's why I like to use this one for PPF. Cool. Now, the angle that we had to spray it at doesn't really get into the edge, like up into the edge. So just keep that in mind. It's probably gonna be harder for this back to stick. So I do like to kind of come at it even at a little bit of a different angle as well. Just kind of pop it up. But so now we can start kind of sticking some of the edges. So these are super high tension, as you knew when we were like wrapping it, right? So I'd kind of like to focus on that a little bit. Since this is matte, I am coming at the corners a little bit different. I'm gonna come from the corner in, kind of hopefully get a little bit of a cap at the end of that. It's looking good. Same thing across here. So now, because it has such high tension, I am gonna kind of be two-handing this, keep the film going the way that I want it to go. And then once I get to a flat section, which this is just about, then I can kind of just go with one hand. And I step these edges down. So I do like the very, like if I was to show somebody, I would come from like right here, bring it down, just step it down. Because if you try to do it all in one go, you're gonna end up with some air in between all that. So just kind of another little tip and trick there. Now I'm coming over some of these edges real nice, stepping them down. Kind of reach over to the middle. So yeah, you can slide it and kind of step it down, or what they taught me, actually again in 3M training, was to go from straight down and then seal it. Straight down, seal it, straight down, seal it. That, I mean, in theory is kind of like, if you're training somebody, that's how you want to teach them, but eventually you just get to the point where you just start sliding and you're stepping down, so. But that does get the highest kind of initial tack. It's just going straight down on it. So I do a mixture of both. I go, you know, side to side and slide it, but then when I really kind of get to a little bit of a complex area, I'll just go straight on it. So if you know that you have to, like, these big flat sections, it's not that big of a deal, but like if you're getting to a complex section, I like to spray actually a little bit of tack right as soon as I'm about to do it, because it's almost like that water helps to seal it up a little bit better, in the sense of like the water's not going to compress, but air can compress, and that water being in there helps air not come back in, because that's what you don't want. You don't want air or slip or anything coming back into the edge when you're pushing it down. So I do like on some of these smaller ones, especially, spray just tack, just distilled water right into them right before I get them sealed up. And then I know. I typically have better luck with them getting to stick down immediately than having to push it and push it and push it. The more that you, it's like a tape. If I take a piece of tape and I put it on your shirt and I do it one time, it sticks pretty hard. Then I do it again, it sticks a little bit less. Why? Because it's collected lint. Well, that's not really the case with this. It's just the adhesive weakening. Every time you stick it to something and lift it up, stick it and lift it up, you're weakening the adhesive. So we try to get these edges to stick on the first shot. Then you have the highest likelihood of those smaller edges sticking and kind of getting it wrapped how you want. So that's why we took the time to flush it all out. We're not just like trying to fold it down and then, you know, after an hour we have a bunch of stuff that's popped up and try to push it down again. We try to wrap the edges one time. So again, with something like this, I'll just come across it. Now, my goal is to get this all wrapped without any fingers ending up underneath. So I actually bring the tension to a flat area from the middle and a flat area from the middle. And I'll just kind of work it, that tension, down into the point. And then when I get to that point, I'm going to push it straight down, forward. And you can see these fingers are really tiny and tight. And then they start to get bigger and bigger. And the bigger fingers, like when they're wider, they're gonna stick down a lot easier. It's the tight ones that you have to worry about when it comes to these type of edges. So I'm getting these all down really nice. and just modulating that tension side to side does help a lot on the initial tack. Because the last thing you want to end up with is some massive finger down here that's super tight, and you've now got some issues on your hands, and you're not able to wrap it the way that you want to wrap it. Which is, you know, you want all your edges to go down without any crazy fingers or creases on behind it. So now I'm gonna cross this. Now I get to a nice flat part. I'm actually gonna work the harder part first. I'm just working how I would normally work. I'm not trying to explain to you guys a lot of stuff, but I'm explaining along the way. So same thing, come from this kind of tight part, push the tension side to side, and then narrow in on kind of a tighter part. This one actually has a little bit more stretch, it feels like, than that other side. So I'm not having as many tight fingers. Cool, and then I'll work this whole center. Again, I kinda wanna get it all down. Just gonna put a little bit of water in there to get a nice edge seal. Step it all down.
You typically would never just, you know, you're trying to get the harder parts first, then get the...
Yeah, because I don't want to bring tension into here, even if it's on the very edge. It's just you're always kind of in that mindset of tension manipulation, trying to get the film to just relax into parts and not do anything crazy. So you're just kind of always in that mindset of like, okay, I have something complex that the film isn't going to want to stick very well to. Let me get that tension down first, you know, bring it side to side as much as I can, but then also kind of narrow in on it, because the more I narrow in on it over a wider area, kind of narrowing in on it, I'm able to, now I have some edge that isn't stuck, and now as I get to the end, I'm going to make sure my part gets stuck, and then bring it into the edge that's not stuck and not stuck. So I mean, you're just kind of working it down the way that you would want it. Gonna spray a little bit there, not worried about. Now I'm just kind of sealing it up. Got a nice flat part. And you know, I'm not going too close to this corner yet because I want to actually get this corner down and bring some of the tension back up into it. So I'm not going to go too far. This is all looking really good. So I'm going to come into this back edge, really flush it all out, because that's where a lot of soap's going to be settling. Now that it's been sitting for a second, come across that very corner. And we haven't used any adhesive promoter. There's no need to on these types of small edges. I know this adhesive on this Autobahn film is pretty good for a matte film. S-Tech was definitely a little bit harder to get some of these. That's what we have on that Porsche matte job that we have next door. We did that one a couple years ago when we were a Stack. And that one, it's a lot harder to get some of those baby edges down. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you start laying some of this stuff down. There's a point where you have a wrapped edge. You're either gonna go all the way or you're not gonna go at all. Now with matte, sometimes you have to go just a little bit in and maybe just a little bit further or maybe even just a little bit less. And so you want that proper amount of adhesive that counteracts the tension of the film, because the film doesn't necessarily have as much memory as like vinyl. You can stick vinyl on and then, you know, pull it off and it's dang near the same shape as like the mirror or something like that. But like say I did PPF on that mirror, that same amount of stretch, when I pulled it off, it might shrink down to about a quarter of the stretch that it was. It might have a little bit of memory left, but not as much. So what I'm getting at is you have your edge, you know, your edge, and it won't stick very well if the edge only comes up to right there, but it'll stick really well if it comes up to right there, and even better if it comes up to right there, but not if it comes up a little bit more into that, right? So you have these like edges that you want to be hitting, and with matte, you're trying to cover up as much gloss as possible. And so you're trying to, even on edges like this, these little tiny edges, you're trying to get to stick. And so you are using like adhesive promoter and things like that that you typically wouldn't, because you're trying to get the adhesive to stick harder than the film's trying to pull it back. So I haven't used any adhesive promoter on any of this because I know that these aren't crazy enough edges for me to like need it or necessitate it on a mat, even on a matte job. And so with S-Tech, what we found is that the adhesive wasn't strong enough to keep the film down on a lot of edges, not even just, you know, the small ones. And so doing a matte conversion, that's what you spend a lot more time on. We charge 20% more for a matte job from gloss to matte than gloss on gloss, because you are taking that extra time, typically 20% longer. It's actually even more. You know, on that case of that GT4, we were removing bumpers, removing headlights and taillights, and, you know, the rocker panels came off the car. Like, I mean, it was insane. You know, mirrors coming off, door handles are coming off. Lots of disassembly. So yeah, it is more expensive because you're trying to get that full coverage. You're not trying to show any gloss. So there's 3 ways you could do a matte job. You could do full template, just lick and stick, like straight out the printer. Whatever is wrapped, whatever isn't, isn't. That's what, when people are calling around on pricing, that's typically what they're getting, is just, you know, lick and stick. Then you have kind of like your hybrid mix, which is more so what we do. We do like, okay, I'm gonna bulk your hood, but I'm gonna modify templates for the fender. I'm gonna modify a template for the door. I'm gonna modify a template for that. And that I can save a little bit more money, but if I have to go and stick, you know, just print out a bunch of squares or tear off a bunch of squares, that takes a lot more time. It's a lot more blade time for me, so it's more expensive. So I give them, typically on matte, I was like, okay, well, how much gloss do you really wanna hide? Depending on the color, it matters. On a white, you can get away with a lot more. You can have a little bit more gloss here and there. It's really not that big of a deal. On black though, or, you know, some other colors, like, yeah, you're gonna have to hide a lot of gloss. And it's gonna be a lot more expensive. So yeah, this is looking great. I'm just gonna check this back edge, make sure it's good. Get this kind of corner point a little bit down more. Spray some fresh water in there. It's good. Cool. And now we can just wipe this up. And this thing's good to go.
Zoom out.
And check this back edge again. So these are the
Middle of the hood.
The middle of the hood is, I mean, there's a little tiny one that I can actually get when I close the hood.
Oh, okay.
Because right now it's just sticking up and I can't reach over that way, that far. So I'm not too worried about like the flat edges, if you ever notice that. It's just a mindset that I'm in typically. Like when something is just on a flat edge, like I know I've got time. But when I have a more complex edge where there's a lot of tension and things going on, it's a little bit more immediate. So let me just grab a towel and wipe it off. And let's look at this thing. It's looking good.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, once this starts to dry out some more, then we'll be able to, you know, trim up some of our corners. Those corners I really want to dry a lot before I even try to put them down.